Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a great pleasure to see the book, the review of the book by my dear friend Navas Meeran. Also, Kumar is also a very good friend of mine. So nice to see them writing a book, because a lot of people think they wanted to write a book, but eventually don't end up doing it. I am one such person. So it's not easy. It is normally said. I'm surprised to see that it takes so much time. Kumar says it took 2.5 years time. Yeah. No, correct. Mr. Dixit is also equally busy person. He was telling that he took 4.5 years. So then I said, okay, I'm not going to write now. So I think it's not an easy task, but the rich experience what Navas and his brother Firoz both have, along with Mr. Kumar's his expert speak, his own words and wisdom. I think it would be very nice one to share with the kind of this thing with all of us and with the entire world. And what is so much interesting in this is they have not. I was like just looking at when I received the book, it's going to be about Eastern Condiments and Meeran Group. That's what I was thinking about. But to my surprise, it is equally 1 out of 12 portions. Only 12, this thing, roughly about 8% of the book has about Meeran Group, and divided between the 12 other companies. I think that's very nice. 11 other companies are there, with them it's 12. So it's very rare to see that something I am writing, but I am not going to write more about myself, more about entire thing. The purpose is to give value back to the society. I think very clearly coming out. So many anecdotes from various businesses, driving home the point on each chapter. I think very well conceived and well written. I like the 7 C's, which is a clinching one if you have to say any family business or entrepreneur. Even I think professionals need to know these 7 C's. What are those 7 C's? It's a very, very important one. Clarity, commitment, consistency, courage, coercion, competency, and compounding for scale-up. I think this is the way they have very clearly, in order, they have narrated each one, how each one of that is going to. We shall, I don't want to dwell too much on that, because let us hear from the authors themselves as to what they are thinking about that. But one thing I liked in the whole thing is, if you do the first 6 things right, the 7th one is compounding for scale-up. That's the one very important thing. The 6 are interrelated. It has a kind of effect of positive synergy effect, one over the other. It feeds into another. But the 7th one is compounding all. I think that's an interesting one. You all know that business is not easy. A lot of people try. There is a lot of people start business, and the failure rate is very high over a period of time. But for the last few years, I would say 5-6 years, the trend is changing. Earlier, people have been looking at learning from others' failure. Oh, don't go into business. It's a gamble. Let's not get into business. That was the kind of thinking people had. But that's slowly changing. And not only that, I think the reason being failure is high. People see a lot of failures in business. Very high number of failure rates. Mortality of startups is, I would say, roughly around 70% plus would be 97. So that's a very old data. Now I was referring to ChatGPT before coming here. It only says 60%. I was ambitiously putting it 10% more. Because this data of 97 is some 10-15 years ago. So nowadays, the startup success ratio, I was just thinking on that to look at, if I start a small provision shop, that's also a startup. Maybe people may be succeeding. We are thinking business as one startup. But I think a provision shop or any kind of enterprise would also be counting. Most of the time, they will be succeeding. It's self-employment related thing. So I don't know what kind of this thing. I was searching in the net on the kind of this thing. This is Professor John Wada's telling 97%. Nowadays, the trend seems to be ChatGPT is not telling that way. Okay. So that too, if you look at passing through one generation, 20 years, surviving 20 years of business, one person who has started, I think that itself is a miracle. And passing through one generation to the second generation and going on to third is a big thing. It's not easy. Why third generation? If you ask me, the third generation, history says, third generation actively destroys wealth. They actively destroys wealth. Because first generation, having built, immediately their son and daughters, they'll be putting all the value because they are hard earned. They have risen from the kind of this thing, bottom of the pyramid. And therefore, a lot of values are passed on. The second generation, they're kind of comfort, but still have the kind of thing carrying on. But the third generation don't have the pain at all. They grew with the affluent mindset. They are not kind of seeing a lot of pampered child. No need to work. First of all, no hunger, no need to work. Everything is given. So as a result, kind of this thing is that it is actively destroyed. So that is why I say 3 generation change beyond if a business leaves, that itself is a miracle. So I have seen that these 12, they have looked at various businesses to kind of take insights from. Very nice to see that what are the things that, how a business can survive beyond 3 generations. That's the whole essence of that. It is not all the people are third generation. There are somebody who has first generation, they have interviewed, all these things. But to say that the principles that would take us to live beyond 3 generations. I would only say that it's a must read for any person who is in business as well as in profession. Because that also the principles of running a successful business is same. But whether you want to continue beyond generation, it's your choice. So thanks Navas and Firoz and Kumar. Thanks for giving this treasure of wealth and knowledge to the whole public of India. I was also intrigued by one thing, that what is the reason many companies remain small? I was wanting to write a book. Why small companies remain small? Very few break out of that orbit shift, unable to grow. Many companies suffer, struggle at a particular level, and they don't grow beyond this. And I was looking at that, whether this is answered here. Very much answered. Very well answered. So I don't want to say why small companies remain small. I think we'll hear it from them. That's also an interesting one, is what I thought. But all I can say is, the book, when you take it up, you will be continuing to read with a lot of anecdotes. So anecdotes are plenty, interesting anecdotes. I think it is this thing that you'd love to see. Some of the anecdotes, I think I would say that is experimentation is a way of life. One of the businessmen were telling, my father was always keen that we must experiment and not afraid of failure. I think that's a very important foundation of any business to grow. Businesses who are averse to failure, who punish failure, people who are leading the experiments, or who are punishing them, I think they will find their own kind of peril. So it's important that a very flourishing environment, the failure is not punished, the person is not punished, and we only learn from the failures is a very important one. In our company, we have one very important philosophy: fail fast, fail cheap. We believe that fail, no problem, but don't fail expensively. Fail cheap is a very important thing. Otherwise, what happens is, we have normally in our product, when you want to launch, it costs somewhere around 3-4 crores in one state, if you have to kind of think. This is the way we used to spend. Then we said, okay, we are talking of fail fast, fail cheap, but this is expensive. This is not small. Then we sat with the team and identified how can we make the failure very small. Eventually, team came back and we discussed various options with a 20 lakhs model. Interesting, no? Instead of a 3-4 crores, a 20 lakhs is far, far smaller. It is worth making. I can fail 15 times in a year with that instead of one failure. So that I think we started embracing it in the last 4-5 years. I think no looking back. We are able to do multiple experiments. Earlier, we used to be doing 1 or 2 max in a year, but now 15, 20, not an issue at all. So that's one I would say. Then there is no sense in punishing your future for the mistakes of your past. Forgive yourself, grow from it, and then let it go. So this is also a very nice one. So don't repent, don't brood over the past. Failure happens. Don't keep on doing that. I think these are something very interesting thing. So some places I think very clearly the cohesion among family members, between family and professionals, all these things, if it is not important, the business also fail. And that's the kind of this thing. So finally, I think the courage is one thing, what it comes, the boldness, scaling up, taking risk-taking, ability to take the big risk. I think that's also a very, very important thing. I think more interesting thing, I don't want to steal the thunder, but I would definitely during the fireside chat, you will hear more from Navas and Mr. Kumar. Thanks for once again. Thank you very much.
Good evening, MMA members. Thank you for inviting me to be part of the program, Mr. Kumar. The first book I read in the family business field many years back when I started working with family run businesses was a book called Generation to Generation. That was the first book. When you asked me to join in this function, so what intrigued me was the 3-generation story, beyond 3 generations. So, as a child, I was deeply influenced by 2 great scholars. One is Chanakya and the other one is Confucius. Chanakya's one of the initial sutra is Sukhasya moolam dharmaha, dharmasya moolam arthaha, arthasya moolam rajyam. That means if you want to be happy, you have to follow your dharma. Dharma means he refers as swadharma. Each one of the human being in India have some swadharma defined. That's how, if we notice, the concept of business transitioning from generation to generation, a carpenter's son becomes a carpenter, a teacher's son becomes a teacher, a businessman's son becomes a businessman. This has been the dharma of this country. The family business originated in India, but unfortunately, we did not have a scientific framework or a research structure and no support from educational institutions to do all the research. Thanks to the Western contribution, there is so much of literature is available in the field of family business because the universities deeply support them. India started to wake up about the concept of family business in late 90s when John Watt came to India and started educating everybody about the family business. And Chanakya further goes to say, dharmasya moolam arthaha. If you want to follow your dharma, you need money. If you don't have money, you cannot follow your dharma. So it's very important to make money. Especially when I work in the West, the big wealth creators, the big business houses are being reveredly respected because they say that they are the one who are creating the country's economy, building the country's economy. But when you look at the Indian businessman, the normal perception is the businessmen are chores. They are here to loot. The respect is not being given. In fact, if you go through, if you deeply engage and understand what any entrepreneur or family business founders go through to build a business, because India has been a debt-based economy. We never had any capital in this country to build the business. So the equity was never available. It all came from debt. And building a business by taking a debt is not an easy task. On the other hand, the Chanakya further went to say, Arthasya Moolam Rajyam. If you want to build a country, then you have to build an economic model which can continuously support a country. That was possible only if you support the family-run businesses. And India has been historically, the Vaishya community has been deeply working in this country to build the business framework in this country. The other philosophy which I was deeply impressed is by Confucius' one statement. The family, not the individual, is the basic unit of the society. Family is more important than any individual member. And harmony is the most important value for all family members. The will of the individual must be subordinated to the family group. Children must be taught to restrain individualism to maintain harmony in the family. Today, if we notice what is happening to the family, there is too much of individual identity and family is slowly disintegrating. The concept of joint family system has been facing a lot of challenge and it's become a nucleus family. But further, if you go deeper, that is also disintegrating because people want to identify with oneself rather than with the family. As the authors have mentioned, only 13%, this is the statistics, only 13% of the family businesses go to transition to the third generation. And only 4% of the businesses, family-run businesses, go to the fourth generation and beyond. It's a very, very tiny number. By the third generation, as Mr. CKR mentioned, the entrepreneurship dies in the family system because they have so much money. There's a famous saying in the West, shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations. And this is a very, very common phenomenon, not only in America, also in India. Now, 75% of India's GDP comes from family-run businesses. About 85% of the businesses are family businesses in India. So it's a very, very large number we are talking about. How any business starts, one individual wakes up, they have a vision, they have an idea, they start building a family business. They start building a business. Then slowly over a period of time, it becomes a family business. When I engage with any first generation entrepreneur, I ask them, what is the purpose of your family business? And they always say that we had a purpose initially to create an economic need of the family. We needed wealth, therefore I started the business. But over a period of time, when they transitioned the financial needs, they were able to come up with a deep purpose which was helping them to continue the journey. Whether it is a wealth creation for the country, or building the country, or an employment opportunity creation, multiple things. But from the second generation onwards, one of the key challenges I have always found is their purpose is not curated. The only purpose they find is that, oh, this is started by my father or grandfather, so I need to support them. This is my responsibility. Whether they are motivated by it or not very sure. So that's one of the big reasons it doesn't last from generation to generation. One of the key things what makes the family business special is all the family members are working together. That's how the family business story comes alive. One big differentiator is the ownership dimension of the family business, where as an owner, they are able to influence the family deeply. The whole business gets influenced by the ownership dimension of the family business. I want to just share a couple of thoughts in this area. Essentially what happens, how there is a strategy for the business. In family business, there is a concept called parallel strategy for ownership, where we look at 3 things. Number 1 is what is the control I want to have as an owner. And the second one is What kind of growth, therefore, I want to have? And the third one, what is the liquidity as a family member we are all looking for? Now, there is a big trade-off between these three all the time. If you are a small business and if you want to grow, how much you are ready to dilute to create the growth? And if you are going to dilute, you are always going to be challenged by the controlling stake in the company. It will start going down. If you are looking for a big growth, how much you are ready to risk, how much risk you are ready to take, and how much some family members who are not working in the family, they are looking for dividends and their expectations have to be managed. Many family run businesses, if you are not a listed company, in a listed company you are forced to declare what is your dividend policy. But in a private limited company, it is not necessary you have to declare a dividend policy. But when you don't declare, you have to manage the liquidity expectation of the owners because they need to be continuously supported by the dividend for their lifestyle or in whichever manner. So the key point here is, how are you going to trade and compromise between these three dimensions? That creates a parallel strategy. In larger organizations, if you have a great CEO, then the CEO prepares a business plan and you prepare a ownership strategy plan. They both have to interact with each other, and that's how the business grows from generation to generation. If there is going to be a disharmony between the owners and managers, it's always going to bring in a challenge. In some families, there are basically 4 roles the family businesses have for the family members. The first one, I call it as owner-managers, where you are involved in a day-to-day function and you are driving it. The second role is an owner strategist, where you have a CEO to run a day-to-day operation. You are only involved at a strategic level. Then further, as the generation becomes deeper, the family members grow. There's a third role called owner-governor. You are only on the board as a governor. And the fourth one, in large families in Europe, we find they do not have any interest to be in part of either a manager or a board member. They are pure investors. They are pure shareholders. There is always these 4 different roles which plays up in the family business. And if you do not create an alignment between these 4 different roles within the family members, who are, some of them are working and some of them are not working, it always is a huge challenge to perpetuate it from generation to generation, because each one has a different expectation from the family business. Amidst all these things, there's always a conflict running between the family members, between small conflict, big conflict, differences. One such case study I want to quote: a father and son who were not getting along with each other. They worked for 10 years together. Me and my colleague worked with them in Europe. So father one day called his son. He wore a hat where it was written boss. And he said that, look, I'm not happy with you, so you are being fired from this role, so you can leave. So he gave him a pink slip. Immediately, after 1 minute, he took out that hat, another hat where it was written father. He asked him, son, I believe you are just being fired. I'm very sad for you. How can I help? So this is 2 different roles and 2 different hats. It's a big challenge to work with your relatives. It's not very easy. And if husband and wife are working together as partners, it's even more difficult. So it brings in a different type of challenge, and the kind of governance what you require to have a harmony in the business space is very, very challenging. India is going through a great transition. In the world today, many businesses are changing hand. We are going through a situation, it's called a great wealth transfer is happening. About $68 trillion are changing hands as we speak now. Many of the baby boomers who were sitting in the previous generation, they are passing on their business and wealth to the next generation. At this juncture, India needs not just one book, many, many more books, because we do not have so much of literature coming out in India. Research literature, if you look at the books from the West, there are in the area of family business, it's hundreds of books are there. But if you go and dig how many family business books have been written in India, you can not even a dozen books are written. It's less than a dozen books. So it's at the right time. The authors have put together their thoughts, and there's no other way to learn about family businesses other than a case study model. That's the best way to learn what is happening in the family business, and you have taken big pain and effort to put together, and I'm looking forward to a conversation with both of you. Thank you so much.
One more mic. I'll go first. It's a very common question which everybody would expect. Okay. Navas, to you, what prompted you to write this book? Okay. And what prompted you not only writing this book? It's a family business book. Could have been genuinely how the group started, how your father started, and success stories, all these things could have been written. But going beyond and to make it available, not one business experience, but about 12, collection of 12 and expertise. Well, I think that's a very laudable task. Tell us about that.
Is this audible? Yeah. So thank you, MMA, for giving us this opportunity. I think my day is done with one statement from CKR. One of the value systems he's talking about is fail cheap. So this I will start copying it in my organization. Thank you. In our organization, we have a value system which we talk about earn and burn. You earn and then burn. So, I was just relating to this. So, answering your question, I feel sorry about the third generation. The reason being, you shoot from a revolver, and if there is a 0.01 mm difference at the starting point, you can imagine what will be the difference there at the 100-meter level, right? So that is the curse for the poor third generation guys. They will always be, for no reason, they will always be cursed for, it's third generation, they will destroy it. So that's the curse. So for me, the reason why, when my dad passed away, there was a lot of request to come up with a Eastern story, but then I thought we should add value to people, by reading whatever small, even if it is 10 page, it should actually add some value to the reader. So that's how, we always used to discuss things, and then, my struggle and suffering I used to share with MSA. So MSA will come up with his struggle and things like that. So we used to keep pacifying each other for quite long, right? For more than 20 years. So that also provoked me to think differently, and then we decided to talk to many of the family-run businesses. One of the things which I feel that we need to keep in mind is whatever we have selected and written in this book, many of the families used to push it under the carpet. People doesn't have the courage to talk about succession. People doesn't have the courage to talk about letting it go. People doesn't have the courage to talk about value unlocking. You're creating value, but then how do you unlock it? You have to unlock, you have to enjoy it, right? So all these things, succession, when I talk about succession, in a family of 4 brothers, the third one is the most entrepreneurial. But what in the Indian condition, the elder is going to rule the business. I mean, in another case, we have decided that our kids will get into the bottom of the pyramid and then do the ladder and get to the top. But the third son's wife, she says that my son will not be allowed. My husband is ready to send him there, but father is ready to send him there. But wife says, no, my son can't go there. He can only be there. What can you do? So these are all phases of running family organizations. So we thought we should come up with something that will be interesting, that will provoke people to keep discussing about things rather than pushing it under the carpet. That was the reason why we thought we should talk about all this in a very explicit manner.
Thanks, Navas.
Mr. Kumar, this question is to you. What prompted you to get into the family business space after having an illustrious professional career in different organizations?
Yeah, I think.
And then again, why you wanted to write this book?
So I think this.
Co-write this book.
This mic is working. Am I audible? Yeah, I think Rishi Sab, this whole thing started with Pradipto Mahapatra, who is no more here. You all know in Chennai, RPG group, and so Pradipto Mahapatra.
Yes.
He was a CI Southern Regional Chairman, and I had invited him for a drink to my house. I was on the verge of retirement, so he asked, "I must say, what are you going to do?" I told him, "Abhi to kuch decide nahi hua, nothing is decided." "Are you going to sit at home?" I told him, "I have not decided." "Please don't sit at home. You will be," and Pradipto, whom late, I have a lot of respect for him as a CEO coach. Wo bola ki, see, if you sit at home, you will be an unpaid executive chauffeur for your wife. Okay, Pradipto, I understand that. That's not a good role to play. Okay. Then I asked, what should you say? Look, put up an office. Put on your pants and shoes, and go and sit there and play video games. I mean, that's how it all started. Anyway, he was running the Coaching Foundation of India in Chennai. He told, come for a CEO coaching. Started. To cut the story short, when I started doing CEO coaching, as one of you mentioned that 80% of Indian families are all, Indian business are all family run. As I started doing this CEO coaching, I realized, you told about the boss and dad hat, I've experienced this immensely. I mean, the family business owner doesn't know which hat to wear. Many times, I know one incident which is also quoted in the book. I was advising during the CEO coaching, the father and daughter. Father is the chairman of the company, daughter is the vice president of business development. So we were sitting in an executive committee meeting, and the daughter presents something about they're in export business and going for a fair, and the father really starts shouting at her, saying, "What the hell, you don't know how this business is done. Don't talk rubbish," in front of all the managers. So that kind of a thing, when I started looking at CEO coaching, I understood that this family business is a field which needs more handholding, and it's entirely different from another consultancy job, because one size doesn't fit all. Each family is unique. Each family needs powerful conversations. And if you go with a cut and paste job, you will not be successful as a family business advisor because each one has to have its own specific recommendation. So that was the starting point, and then slowly I left the CEO coaching. Now I do only CEO coaching as a part of family business advisory, but not as a standalone assignment. Hope it answers you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I have a next question. Among so many businesses you have studied, the 11 businesses other than your own, have you kind of clearly found out, other than the 7 C's, what we are going to talk, how important is the family values? Okay, because the values are very important to hold the family together while the business kind of this. Is the value systems and the governance structure within the family, is it very important, or it is loosely led only the immediate, whoever is at the power in any generation, they define it? How is it being done generally in a successful companies?
Yeah, one of the group which we have quoted in this book is Evolve Back.
Orange County, old
Orange County. So when they decided to get into the niche luxury, super luxury resorts, they created an SOP. And that was the basis for them to get into that, I mean, within which they wanted to drive that business. Eventually, that SOP turned into being the values of that organization. So, underneath every business journey, there is a strong push and strong support of value system, which the family actually inherits and they carry. So that is a non-negotiable. If I may talk about making mistakes, as he rightly said, father shouting at the daughter. In our case, there is a very classic thing where my dad was very angry with one of our staff. And in the afternoon when he came back after the lunch, he knew that that was not the person who committed the mistake. So then he asked this guy, when I was angry with you, why didn't you tell that you were not the guy who did that? So then he said, in fact, it was a mistake from the group which was working. But whatever you said, the person whom it should have been told to was listening to it. So, that was the comment from a lower level person to my dad. And this my dad told me once. He mentioned one thing. In organization, never abuse people. So one of the things which we carry, we profoundly carry with us is that, we have more than 40, 50 people above 25 years within the organization. And even if somebody works with us for a decade and moves out, they are treated as family because they have the liberty to come have a cup of tea with us. In spite of, they probably might be working with the competition, but in spite of that, they get the opportunity to come and have a tea with us. So that is the level of, the power of values which actually backs organization. I think every one of us, in India, it's a part of our culture. So every organization carries some sort of a core value within the organization. And that's the only reason why you move from one step to the other.
I will add quickly one more point to what Navas mentioned. We both come from a state of Kerala, and fish is a major like dish. Tamil Nadu also, I think, fish eaters are there. We say, when you go to the market to buy fish, how do you know whether it has started decaying or it's already decayed? I mean. How do you look at it? You look at the head and look at that, I don't know what you say for in English. Yeah. And if it's not red, if it's white, that means the fish is not good for you. Dead. Similarly, in an organization, you don't have to study anything. You look at the leader and what values he looks at it, you know. And what Navas mentioned, the example, this Orange County, which became evolved back. Please read that. The linkage in this book, see, first we thought these 12 case studies will have one chapter for each, but we decided against it when we structured the book, saying that there are a lot of common themes running through these 12 case studies. For example, the same evolved back what Navas quoted. In the Jaise Lakshya, Vaise Karma, means like you told about Dharma, I'm talking about Karma now. Your actions are dictated by what you want to be. Okay? Now, cutting the story short, in the case of strategy, there are three elements in that. One is positioning, another is purpose, which you mentioned, Dixit, and partnership. So, in the positioning, evolved back was positioned as a super luxury. I mean, if you go to their website, evolved back and look at Karnataka, what is it? 50% above the point. Yeah, I mean, even similar thing, they will be 50% above. I mean, whether it is Coorg or Hampi ruins, they have got a resort now. It will be 60, 70,000 rupees a night, but still people flock there. Basically, that positioning led to certain ground rules for everyone and evolved back to practice. And that over a period of time became the values. Okay, and so there is a strategy, there is SOP or ground rules, and that became the value. And then we are linked it with the intangible aspect of family business, which is the brand. So you see how the linkages are built over a period of time. So values also lead to creating a brand. You know, one of the values, there are about 10 values. Informally professional is one of the values. Informally professional, not professional. Informally professional. Well, things of 10 values are there, which is put and very, very nicely articulated. Just to add to what Navas said.
Thanks. Sir, one question to both of you. You have written in chapter 3 about the concept of mindset for long haul. Could you just elaborate on it as to what do you mean by that and how to develop that? What are some of the tools or structures or framework? I was just talking to Mr. CKR before this program. I asked him, you are not planning to go public? He said, no, who will deal with the headache of dealing with the public issues, public limited company. So, and it is so true, many family run businesses worldwide prefer to be private because they believe that if you want to have a long haul, if you want to plan for next 100 years, stay private so that you are not going to be disturbed by quarter to quarter deliverables. And every investment you are going to make, you don't have to calculate an ROA and IRR as to what percentage it's going to come. I'm investing in expanding the business. Some year it will start giving the return. What are some of your thoughts in this area, sir?
Yeah.
I will add after you talk.
Yeah.
Maybe I think I should talk first because I have to take this guy, my friend, as a role model. Mind and mindset, because I know him as he told last 25 years almost. It's finally the mindset of, I mean, the father started the business, Meeran Sahib, I met him. He passed away at the age of 65 or so, 72. And Navas, before he passed away, himself had taken the charge of the ownership of the management of the company. But then there was this mindset of first understanding that if I want to expand Eastern brand, I cannot be doing it from the family funds. There's a restriction. And he decided to go for private equity. And this also is coming in the funding chapter in our book. His story is completely. So answering your question, the mind and mindset, Jaise Lakshya Vaise Karma, what I mentioned, which is also quoted in the book, finally dictates everything what you do. So the mind, because we always say the battle is not lost in the battlefield. It's lost in the minds of the soldiers who fight the battle. So I hand over to Navas to say that Well, how does it make a difference, Navas, in terms of doing this kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So, to answer, see, first and foremost, we have to have utmost clarity on what we are trying to do. Lack of,
That's one of the C's.
yeah,
What,
lack
CCAP.
of clarity is one of the major issues which troubles us. It's just not troubles us. It will trouble the entire organization. That's first thing. Second thing is that, because of lack of clarity, you have that Hindi film which I forgot that lady's name. Her name is Sulu in that. A Malayali lady. Eh?
Vidya Balan.
Vidya Balan. So it's like, every now and then you come up with an idea. So you will have 250 ideas chasing, and then you will not reach anywhere. In the last 3 years, that's the first time I've taken out my entrepreneurial cap and wore a professional's cap. I was working as per contract. I was working for Orkla as the CEO of Eastern for the last 3 years. So, my first speech, I did it very well. Second speech, yeah, it was quite okay. After the third speech, I told my India CEO that, boss, I'm talking about the same stuff. I'm never used to it. I want to change something. He said, that's the entrepreneurial thinking. Here we are very clear. Plan is fixed, route is fixed, everything is fixed. We'll keep harping on it. We will not keep moving here and there. So for the last 2.5-3 years, I am talking about the same stuff. I am bored of doing that. But top line has gone up, bottom line has gone up extremely well. The thing is that, as he said, we will keep, as an entrepreneur, we will keep experimenting this, that, and every year we will lose some 4, 5, 10 crores, new product coming, failing in the market. It will all go to because we are covering around 55,000 shops in Kerala alone. So we will have at least 10 to 15,000 shops having the product there. And 3 months down the line, the entire thing will come back as return. So you're losing money. So here it's very clear. So that long haul, when you talk about long haul, what is that you're trying to achieve? And what is that will drive the business? End of the day, my only submission here is, whatever we do, top line is a fascinating thing. Top line always fascinates people. People talk about 5,000 crores, 2,500 crores. That's all good thing. But ultimately, if it is not backed by bottom line, then there's no fun in it. And those businesses with less of margins, less of profits, will not survive. And one of the reasons why some of the businesses fail is basically because, you never understand that you have the moral responsibility to protect the profitability of that particular industry. I'm in spices. If I keep, discounting the product, over a period of 2 or 3 years, my profitability will come down. Not just mine, my competition's profitability will come down. It will have a social impact. How many people are, see, I've got 3,700 people working with me. Into 5. These are the people immediately getting affected if you have a problem with the organization. So we need to carry in mind that, in the long haul, too many verticals are there. Everything need to be balanced. You have to have top line, you have to have bottom line, you have to have people within the organization getting a chance to grow the ladder. Everything has to fall in place.
So there are a lot of questions that has come from the audience. Huh? Online also. Online. These are online questions. I thought before we go on to one of the perspectives, I thought is the one we want to I'll just share with you and also ask your views. Generally, organization is built is assimilation of good talent and embedded with very good behavior, attitude and culture. Okay, that's what will be generation to generation passing on. It includes the promoters. Is a very important thing. I don't think you can exclude the promoter because they are the architects and they need to continue to the baton. So if that is not done, then there is a break and the business collapses if you look at our struggles, whatever is the case. The struggle have you in the 12 companies, including yours, and have you seen this kind of a struggle happening in the businesses in terms of talent, accumulating talent and embedded values and the culture behavior? And that's not followed, therefore a struggle and getting collapsed or verge of collapse, they have been retrieved.
Not in the 12 case
Outside
studies.
it.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of cases in my family business advisory practice wherein what you told CKR, I mean, doing the right things at the right time in terms of injecting talent, preserving talent, encouraging talent, which doesn't happen that easily. And see, we cannot breed for talent. See, a family business owner, it's a funny thing, like the brightest family business owner can produce a dud child, a foolish child. I didn't say mostly, but it happens. So what we say in professionalization is like a foolish family business owner who by luck made the thing work. He can produce an intelligent child. So you can't breed for talent within the family business. So again, professionalizing, getting talent. There are many family businesses which given the fall on the way because they failed to professionalize at the right time. But not in these 12 case studies. These 12 case studies we have taken mostly successful.
Yeah. But to add to it, my next book is on how to work with spouses. So after my daughter got married, my wife did an amazing job of putting things in place. Marriage was well organized. I had one person role in that. I was there only on the dais, and I have not seen or heard anything. I only did write the check. And so after that, she came and said, I was very active up till the marriage. Now I need to do something. Then I said, businesses, you know how husbands can gyan about how to do business. So after telling all these things, I told her one thing, that, see, this is what my perspective is. And you will drive on this perspective for 3 to 4 months. After 6 months, believe me, you will come back and start giving GAN to me. And I am going through that pain. I'm sorry, it's not pain. So, the thing which I was trying to put in here is, I was running an organization where we had close to 4,000 people in the organization. And this 4,000 people used to directly talk to me. That was pre-acquisition model. Post-acquisition, system changed, verticals well defined. Navas Meeran will go to the door and see, hey, what is happening? Nobody is there outside to meet me. Because the thing is that every vertical has got owners, and those owners have delegated their responsibility to people down the line. So they themselves discuss and take action and then move forward. I am involved only in strategic stuff as the CEO. So just imagine, I used to be in office by around 9:30. Obviously, MSA also know that I take 1 hour nap in the afternoon. And then come back home only at 7:30. And there is no Saturday, there is no Sunday, because in Kerala, marriages are all around. We have got 50, we do uh, CKR knows that we do direct distribution in Kerala. So we have got 262 vans, which covers around 55,000 shops. And all these guys know my mobile number. And every houses will have some marriage. So Saturday, Sunday, it's like, I have days where I have attended 12 marriages. So that's how it was. Now, as CEO of Orkla, India's Eastern Division, I don't have job. By 12 o'clock, I'm free. Above 15 lakhs, I just need to give that concurrence for the amount which has been gone out. Otherwise, there is no job. So the learning here is that you have a feeling that everything has to go through you. And that's not the thing. The thing is, you are developing leaders within the system. I will put it as leaders / entrepreneurs within the system by allowing them to take a call. And that is what makes organizations sustainable.
I mean, when you told about his wife, we are not mentioned in the book for political reasons, but we say CEO, we all know it's the chief executive officer. The real CEO is the owner's wife, who is the chief emotional officer. Okay, and why we call it the chief emotional officer? I think in Malayalam we say it is Talayana Mandram. One of the Talayana Mandram, which means
Tamil also say.
Apridana, Tamil Apridana, Talayana Mandram. But now we didn't initially mention that in the book when I wrote it, but then there was final editing and all this politically not correct exactly. But actually speaking, that's why we say family business advisory is very specific. We talk to the wives also in terms of what's the role she is playing, and she plays a very important role. This Talayana Mandram, one of the professors from SP Jain, who's a good friend of mine, he calls, I told Talayana Mandram, both he was a Gujubai. He says, what is that? I told it's a pillow. He says, no, it's a pillow nest. So explain, karo, pillow nest kya hai? One small hair in the pillow, over a period of time, it grows into a nest. And that engulfs the family business. And it's true, and not all cases. It's also from the husband side also. It's not a gender bias. Even the husband side also will happen. So basically, I think what you told about the partner, that becomes important. Sorry, yeah.
Sir, why don't we take some questions from the audience? Okay, sure.
One interesting question about MBA son.
Yes. Okay. How can an MBA son, daughter, and non-MBA father, mother who started the business work together to create success?
Can I quickly answer that?
Yeah.
I was a month back in Singapore. I was there for a Thai Global Summit. Dr. Krishna Ella, who is the chairman and managing director of Bharat Biotech, the Covaxin. So somebody asked after his speech from the audience, what is the biggest challenge, Dr. Krishna, you face in your business? He just smiled. My biggest challenge is, my son just finished his Stanford MBA and he's joined the business, just joined the business. So really speaking, the MBA, okay, I'm also from IIM, Ahmedabad and all that, but it's more of what you call preparing yourself. But finally, at the end of the day, MBA, non-MBA doesn't make any difference. You know, and at the end, in a family business especially, like so I met Dr. Krishna after he said, Kumar, it's very difficult. My son doesn't understand. He's putting up a factory in Orissa. And he met, who's the chief minister of Orissa? Pandian is becoming chief minister, I think. Pandian is an IAS officer who retired. So he says, I go and meet Pandian. My son says, no, why should I meet Pandian? I should go and meet, who's the chief minister?
Biju Patnaik.
Biju Patnaik. Naveen Patnaik. He says, he doesn't understand the way to manage environment, manage politicians. So I have to teach him. So answering your question, MBA, non-MBA to chodo, but between father and son.
No, I'll just add one thing. See, if you look at the current family system, you have either one son or two sons, or one daughter and one son. So the journey which a child goes through is like, you are getting pampered by 6 people. Husband, a father, mother. Father's father, mother. Mother's father, mother. 6 people are pampering you. So the child is not going through any failure. So to me, the major issue is at the age of right in between 20 and 25, if he doesn't get a chance to take a decision, however small the decision is, if he doesn't get a chance to take decision, the problem is by 28, 29, 30, when it's time to take a call, he will start looking at your face. You will have to say what need to be taken. So I mean, MBA is good. IAM MBA is much more good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That's not
Yeah,
an
right,
issue.
yeah. But
But,
really doesn't make
yeah, but it doesn't make a difference.
Sir, I just want to add one of my client where father takes all the decision, the next generation is fed up because he doesn't want to let go of any decision. So one day I had a session with the next generation. I said, why don't you think in your mind that father is working for you? Because he is making all the decisions. So you have done a reverse delegation. So it's good for you. So another question, sir, what is your advice for the next generation in terms of how to contribute to the family business? A question from an audience.
Very good question. Next generation should not think their father and grandfather are useless and they have done nothing. The moment the next generation entering the business values, I've seen this in my practice because the son or daughter joins, yeah, here what my father has done, he doesn't know how to do business. But hey, heck, she is sitting or he is sitting on a platform which is generated by the father and the grandfather. That is one from the Gen Next. But the grandfather and father should also, like what Navas was telling, learning to let it go, like what he told. Before the age of 25, 26, give them some decision-making power based on your comfort level. And you hold on to the old power and I thought of telling, I have got a client in Kottayam, 2 sons, telling, Kumar sir, please tell our father not, he's 85, every day he comes to office. Says, and short of telling when my father will die, seriously, I mean, they're fed up because the father will not listen to it. So answering your question, it is basically both sides. The previous generation should let it go, and next generation should also value what they have done.
Yeah. Uh, First and foremost, if you look at many of the family businesses, it is not the same business they are in the current scenario. Because I would have started a business, I mean, my dad would have started a business, say 40, 50 years back, and I would have got into it. But over a period of time, I would have moved into different areas, and then either being successful or not is a different thing. But what I am saying is the second generation or the kid who is yet to join or about to join the business should have one thing in mind, is that he has to create a strategy within his mind. He has to have the patience to talk to his father at the time when the father is in a good mood.
Good one.
I'm telling you one thing, I'm telling you practical, which I've experienced. Me and my dad used to have arguments. And at some point of time, a very senior friend of my dad, he called me and said, he has created it and he has seen money. You're talking about strategy, you have not seen money. So what you need to do is, you have to be within the boat to navigate the boat rather than being out and say that, what my dad is doing is not right. So, henceforth, what happened? I started looking at, if father is sitting in a very relaxed model, I'll put one small bit and then go. Because, curiosity, you have to build curiosity.
Not the whole thing.
Not the whole thing. You have to build curiosity. And then put here, and then 4 or 5 days down the line, you come up with the right request. I'll put it as request. And I'll tell you one classic case. We had a brand logo which was outdated to the core. Outdated.
Father didn't know, do things right.
So, everyone says that if you want to scale up the business, this is not the logo. And you will admit that, it's not really looking good. How to overcome it? If I go and, knowing my dad, if I go and tell him that this is not good, this has to be the logo, he will say that we are selling, those days we probably would have been selling around 100 crores. Yeah, 100 crores. What I did was, I took the pictures of most of the brands around, all big brands. And then I put the old Eastern inside it. And on the same stuff, on the other side, we worked on a new logo, put the logo inside that. So dad came into, I am staying in Cochin, dad is in a place close to Munnar, it's called Adimali. So he came to Cochin to fly out of India to Dubai. So in his room, both the posters were placed. So he asked my wife, what is this? So she said, I don't know, but Navaska was telling that this is the old Eastern logo and this is the new Eastern logo. He just had a look at it and then went, it was just 1 or 2 minutes conversation. While I was not at home, I was at office. On the way to airport, he called me and said that new logo is sanctioned. Start working on that.